The galaxy knew these as monsters. Every species that encountered them either fled or died. Standing nearly 3 meters tall with armored scales the color of dried blood, razor-sharp claws that could tear through ship hulls, and 4 eyes that glowed like dying stars, they were the nightmare that kept alien children awake at night. For 2,000 years, the Galactic Council had maintained one absolute rule regarding the of Al. Nobody goes there. Nobody survives. Captain did not care about the Galactic Council's rules. Her ship, the Dawn Hammer, had been severely damaged during a skirmish with pirates near the Outer Rim. The navigation systems were failing, life support was at 30%, and they were drifting into space with no way to stop. Stood on the bridge, watching the Crimson Planet grow larger through the cracked viewport. Behind her, 27 crew members waited for orders. Most of them were soldiers. All of them were human. Lieutenant approached her side. His face was calm despite the circumstances. They had served together for 8 years, surviving battles that should have killed them both multiple times. "We could try to redirect power from weapons to engines," he suggested. "Might give us enough thrust to change course." Shook her head slowly. "We would still crash somewhere. At least this planet has atmosphere. We can breathe down there." "Captain, that planet has." "I know what it has." The ship entered Al's atmosphere 40 minutes later, managed to control the descent enough to avoid immediate death, but the landing was still violent. The Dawn Hammer carved a scar across red desert sand before finally stopping against a massive rock formation. Smoke poured from broken engines. Emergency lights flickered inside damaged corridors. Pulled herself from the pilot's seat and began checking on her crew. Miraculously, everyone survived. Some had broken bones, others had cuts and burns, but they were alive. She organized them quickly, assigning tasks, gathering supplies, and establishing a defensive position around the crashed ship. They had weapons. They had some food and water. They had each other. The came on the second night. Was standing guard when she saw them approaching. 6 massive shapes moving through the darkness with terrifying grace. Their eyes glowed in the night like floating embers. She raised her weapon but did not fire. Something made her hesitate. Perhaps it was exhaustion. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was the understanding that shooting would only guarantee death rather than prevent it. The lead stopped 20 meters away. It was even larger than the others, its scales from countless battles, its presence radiating ancient power. Held her ground. Her heart pounded in her chest, but her hands remained steady on the rifle. "You do not run," the spoke. Its voice was deep and grinding like stones being crushed together. "All creatures run from us. You do not." Swallowed hard. "Running would not help. You are faster than us, stronger. If we run, we die tired. If we stand, we die with dignity." The massive predator tilted its head, studying her with all 4 eyes. Behind, she could hear her crew members moving into position, preparing for a fight they could not win. She raised one hand, signaling them to hold. "You speak truth," they said slowly. "What are you?" "Human. We are called humans." The creature made a sound that might have been laughter. "Humans, small, soft, weak bodies, yet you stand before without trembling. This is strange. This is interesting." Lowered her weapon slightly. Not enough to be defenseless, but enough to show she was willing to talk. "We crashed here. We did not come to fight you or invade your territory. We just want to repair our ship and leave." The leader was silent for a long moment. Then it stepped closer, and had to fight every instinct that screamed at her to step back. The creature stood directly in front of her now, close enough that she could smell the strange metallic scent of its breath. "I am first hunter of the mountain clans. You have courage, small human. Courage is valued among my people. Perhaps we will not eat you today." Felt a small smile form on her lips despite everything. "I appreciate that. I am captain of this crew. Perhaps we can help each other." The relationship between the humans and the did not develop quickly or easily. Trust had to be earned on both sides. They were suspicious of outsiders, and the humans were constantly aware that they were surrounded by predators who could kill them in seconds. But slowly, day by day, something began to change. It started with small things. Notice that one of the younger was injured, a deep wound in its side that was becoming infected. Without asking permission, he approached the creature with medical supplies and began treating the wound. The young hissed and growled, but did not flinch. He worked calmly and carefully, cleaning the wound and applying medicine that would fight the infection. Watch this with intense interest. Why do you help our young one? He is not your kind. Looked up at the massive hunter. He is hurt, I can help, that is enough reason. The leader made that grinding sound again. Your species is strange. You care for those who are not your pack. Everyone deserves help when they need it, replied simply. Over the following weeks, more interactions like this occurred. The humans shared their technology and knowledge freely. They showed the how to purify water more efficiently, how to treat various injuries and illnesses, and how to communicate with other parts of the galaxy. In return, they taught the humans how to survive on their harsh planet. They showed them which plants were safe to eat, which areas to avoid, and how to move through the dangerous terrain without being killed by the environment. Spent hours talking with, learning about history and culture. She discovered that they were not mindless monsters as the galaxy believed. They had complex social structures, deep spiritual beliefs, and a rich tradition of storytelling and honor. They had been isolated for so long because other species attacked them on sight, forcing them to become fierce and territorial in response. The galaxy fears us, said one evening, sitting beside on a ridge overlooking the desert. They send ships to study us, to capture us, to kill us. We destroy these ships. We have no choice. Nodded slowly. Fear makes people do terrible things. They attacked you because they were afraid. You defended yourselves. Then they became more afraid. It is a cycle that feeds itself. How do you break such a cycle? She thought about the question carefully. By choosing to be different, by refusing to let fear control your actions. Someone has to be the first to extend trust. Turned to look at her, his 4 eyes glowing softly in the fading light. You did this. You extended trust to us. And you chose not to eat us. I think that counts as extending trust too. The made that grinding laugh again. You are wise for such a small creature. 3 months after the crash, the Dawn hammer was finally repaired. Crew had worked tirelessly, using salvaged parts and materials provided by the ship would fly again. They could return to human space, back to safety and familiar stars. But something had changed. On the day before departure, approached with an unusual request. He was accompanied by 20 of his best warriors, young and strong, who had trained their entire lives for battle. We wish to come with you, said. We wish to see this galaxy that fears us so much. We wish to learn if there are others like you, others who will not run, others who can see us as something more than monsters. Felt her heart swell with an emotion she could not quite name. The Galactic Council will not be happy. Bringing into civilized space will cause many problems. Problems can be solved, replied. This you have shown us. We wish to walk beside you. You have given us something we had lost long ago, hope. She reached out her hand, the human gesture of agreement and respect. Looked at it for a moment, then gently placed his massive clawed hand against her small palm. The difference in size was almost comical, yet somehow it felt perfectly right. Then we walk together, said. The news of the human alliance spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Galactic Council demanded explanations. Other species reacted with shock and fear. How could humans, those strange newcomers to the galactic stage, accomplish what no other species had managed in 2,000 years? How could they befriend the most feared predators in known space? The answer was simpler than anyone expected. Humans had never learned to fear the way other species did. Their history was filled with examples of befriending dangerous creatures. They had taken wolves, the apex predators of their ancient world, and turned them into loyal companions. They had formed bonds with creatures that could kill them, treating them with respect and receiving loyalty in return. They were simply the largest, most dangerous wolves the humans had ever encountered. And just like with wolves, the key was not dominance or fear. The key was mutual respect, shared experience, and the willingness to see beyond appearances to the spirit within. Within 5 years, the unprecedented alliance, as it came to be called, had transformed galactic politics. Warriors fought alongside human soldiers, forming the most effective military force the galaxy had ever seen. Human compassion tempered aggression, while strength protected human idealism. Together, they achieved things neither species could have accomplished alone. Became the first human ambassador to Al, spending half her time on the red desert planet she had crashed on years ago. Became the first to address the Galactic Council, his speech about peace and understanding moving even the most skeptical politicians to reconsider their prejudices. On the anniversary of their first meeting, and stood on that same ridge overlooking the desert, the place where distrust had slowly transformed into friendship, where two vastly different species had discovered they were not so different after all. "The galaxy is changing because of what happened here," said quietly. Nodded, his scales catching the light of the setting sun. "It is changing because you chose courage over fear, because your species sees hearts where others see only teeth." Smiled and leaned against her massive friend. "We are humans. It is what we do." And across the galaxy, species that had been enemies for centuries began having conversations. Barriers that had stood for began to crack, all because one human captain had refused to run, had chosen to stand, and had offered her hand to a monster who turned out to be anything but. The unprecedented alliance was just the beginning. The galaxy would never be the same again.